Hi there, Sandy here. Welcome to another Friday Findings video at keepsakecrafts.net. Today I'm going to talk to you about a jewelry finding that I've actually been talking about for some time, but I just realized I've neglected to make a Friday Findings about it. And that is these little tiny horseshoe-shaped pieces that can save your jewelry, called wire protectors. So here I have an assortment of wire protectors. They come in all your basic finishes. These are gold plated, silver plated, these are copper, of course. These ones actually are the silver plated ones that I needed to add a patina to for a project, and this was way back before I had owned liver of sulfur, and so I actually used a hard-boiled egg. And it really does work. Look it up online. But what exactly do you do with these? Well, they're called wire protectors because they go on the wire of your jewelry. And here's an example of a necklace with some of the beads strung, and then at one point it transitions to a chain. So the beads are strung onto bead stringing wire, and then the wire, I don't know if you can see it, goes through this little horseshoe shaped thing and loops through, comes back out the other end and is crimped. The crimp is inside this crimp cover. And that way you have the wire protector there rubbing on this piece of chain, or it could be your clasp or whatever it is, and the wire doesn't get abraded. It also is a bit more decorative. I have this copper loop here, so that shows, and only a very little bit of the wire shows. You could do the exact same thing on a bracelet. Again, here's a bracelet that was strung, and then a wire protector goes into the split ring that I have here. And another thing that's nice about the wire protector is that it's thicker and more rigid, so it's not going to slip through the link of a chain or get caught on the edge of the wire in a split ring. So it just makes a much more secure finding. And you don't have to just use wire protectors with wire. This bracelet is strung on thread. Let's see if I can pull some apart so you can see. It's strung on bead stringing thread. And this is an ideal place to use a protector because that thread would get shredded on this split ring that I have here. So again, I don't know if you can see that, but the thread is going through the wire protector, and that helps keep your bracelet from breaking. In fact, as a cautionary tale, here is a bracelet I made many years ago when I knew very little of what I was doing. This was a pattern I followed in a magazine, and boy, was it a ton of work. The only thing holding it together was this little bit of thread, and you can see it shredded on the other piece of the clasp. I have it on a split ring here, which wasn't a good idea. So at some point I need to kind of redo the end of this bracelet because I really do love it. And I made the mistake on other bracelets too. You can see just by having the thread. I've actually never had the wire pull through. It's more often the thread that gets abraded. And see, here's a silly beginner mistake, having a single strand of thread holding it onto the clasp. If you're going to do bead weaving, you need to have 2, 3, or even more, as many lengths of thread as you can get on your finished ends. So how do you use these? Well, first of all, let's just take a look at the anatomy of one. So it's horseshoe shaped, and at the open ends there are little like tubes. There's a part of the metal that's been, there they are, little tubes. Part of the metal has been folded into a round part, and that's where you slip your wire into. You go in through one end, and then around the rounded part of the horseshoe it's just a channel, so it's open. And then the wire just goes around through the other way. And so just like when we're crimping with anything, you want to slide on your crimp first. And then even if you were just going to make a plain loop like this, your crimp has to go on first, and then the wire goes back through it. But in this case, we'll just go through the wire protector. So in through one of the open ends, and then out through the other one. And the important thing here is that you don't forget to add your clasp. You can skip adding the clasp if it's open, But like here's a copper clasp that I made that the loop is already wrapped and it's closed. You have to add that first before you crimp it, otherwise there's no way of getting it on. And this of course is very secure because there's no splits or anything for anything to come out of. And then you would just crimp your crimp and then add a crimp cover like here as usual. And that's all there is to it. And if you're using it with thread, you would probably have to put your thread on a needle, send it through the wire protector, and then send it back through another bead. Often you put a bead on, put the wire protector on, go back through the bead, and then make knots down here on the other side of the bead. That's how I've seen it done. And then those knots are just kind of hidden when the next bead in the pattern is up against that one. So these are called wire protectors or wire guardians. I'll have links to all of these at my blog post. And I hope you find this helpful in making your jewelry a little bit longer lasting than some of my earlier pieces and a little bit better quality. So if you like these videos, I hope you'll subscribe if you haven't already. And feel free to take a peek at my Patreon page. I have lots of extras there for those who decide that they want to support this channel. I have drawings for jewelry and clay pieces and bonus videos and extra templates and such. So happy creating. Bye-bye.